team like against a defense like New England?
It's always tough. You still got to put in the same amount of work. It's just a day less, so you're here longer. You're studying more. It's always tough.
Are you where you would normally be talking to us on Wednesday in your preparation, or do you still have to catch up a bit?
Yeah, we had good meetings today. You got to start just everything a day early, so you don't get the Tuesday day off. But I think the most important thing is getting your body back right. So, we got veteran guys that know how to handle their routine on weeks like this.
You said you're not on social media much in the season, but are you aware that you guys can clinch a playoff spot if you win on Saturday?
I was not. The goal is always the division title. So obviously making the playoffs is great, and we can clinch on Saturday, but that's not really the goal.
Would you say that the goal, it's more about the division than potentially, you guys could potentially be the number one overall seed too at this point?
We could. We would need some help for that, but our goal is to go 1-0 this week, and then I think the rest will take care of itself from there.
So you'd react to this one the same way you'd react to the win against Tampa or any of those others?
Yeah, there's no championships on the line this week.
What stands out about the Pats defense when you watch them on film?
Well coached. They're a lot of times you watch film and you think you can take advantage of this guy or this guy. They don't really have any of those. They're all are good players that understand their scheme, understand their leverages, and they got good rushers and a good rush plan. So it'll be a challenge for us.
So why do you think you guys have been so good at closing out games? Is it a mindset? Is it kind of getting to know what runs are working, what passes are working at that point in the game? Because you guys have been really good at closing out a lot of games.
Yeah, we got great coaches that make great adjustments in game to allow us to go out there and move the ball, and we've been playing team football, complementary football that our defense is playing great, and our offense has taken advantage of opportunities that our defense has given us, and then our special teams is coming on and playing really well as well.
You popped up on the injury report with like a right elbow issue last week. I don't know what's going on with that and how are you feeling with it?
Nothing serious, just a little bruise.
Are we allowed to know what you're getting your offensive line?
No, not yet. Not yet. You'll see.
Have you gotten it though?
Yeah, we've got it.
Joe, what was your first? I'm sorry, Joe.
Go ahead.
What was your first impression of Ted Karras when you went over for crackers or whatever it was? What was your first impression? I'm sorry.
He's gonna,
First impression.
you could tell he was gonna bring a lot of energy, and that's something that we didn't really have on the O-line before that. And so, it's been great to have him, because when you have a guy like that on the front, and not just in game, but in the locker room, we always, I'm always talking about how great our locker room is and how important that is to winning. And Ted is the ultimate locker room guy, and that's what you need out of your center.
How would you describe his personality? He's kind of like he seems to be like one way on the field and then maybe different off it. I don't know.
No, he's the same way always, and that's what you love about him. He's going to bring the intensity on the field and off of it, meetings, out of meetings, in the locker room. He's just a guy that you love to have on your team.
How much has he taught you about the culture they had in New England, and how much has it carried over here?
We've talked about it. I wouldn't say it's carried over at all. We have our own culture here in the locker room and what Zach has built, and I think we're very unique in that way that we've built our own culture here that we're proud of, and has been winning us a lot of football games.
You had the pinky thing on Sunday, you had the elbow thing in the middle of the week. What's it like at this point in the year as you kind of get deeper into the season, trying to manage some of these kind of nicks and bruises as you get closer to the end of the season?
Yeah, none of those are, doesn't affect how you play, doesn't affect how you practice, doesn't affect how you go about your routine. Everyone's got cuts and bruises and something swollen every week. That's just part of the game, and can't let it distract you from the fact that you got to get your job done.
Earlier, Brian Callahan said going against Bill Belichick's kind of like a cat and mouse game, coaching against him. Having a coach like that on the other side, what's the challenge of going against a play caller like that with how good he is?
Yeah, we know that they're going to have a good plan for us, and we're going to have to make adjustments in game to what we're seeing, because we know that they're going to have some game plan stuff for us that we haven't seen before. So it's going to be a challenge for us. as an offense to take those adjustments and run with them on the fly, because we know that they're going to have some stuff that we haven't seen.
How do you approach a comeback, and what's the key to 17-0 or whatever it is, doing that often?
You really don't treat it any differently than you would if you were up mindset-wise. Obviously, you're going to play the game a little differently, but I think the key to a great comeback is just going one step at a time. And you saw it on Sunday, that 2-minute drive cut it to 2 scores, and we knew going into that we had to get points, and that was kind of the start of it. And so you just take it one step at a time, and eventually you catch back up.
Is that something you learned throughout your career as a quarterback? Like maybe you figured that out like in high school or in college or something?
Well, fortunately, high school and college, I was, had really good teams, and we weren't behind a lot. In the NFL, it's different. You're going to get behind because everyone's so good. And, really last year was the year that, I felt like we were always in it. We're always going to make plays on defense, get stops, and, eventually our offense would get rolling and we would score points to get back in it. And, really, the last 2 years we've been behind and we've come back in just about every game, whether we've won or lost at the end, has, kind of varied, but we've always got back into it.
Devin McCourty's been on their defense for over a decade now. What stands out to you when you study film of them, of how he manages their secondary and how he's unique?
Yeah, he's really good in disguising coverages. You expect that from a guy that's played so long, and he really hasn't lost much of a step. I think this is year 12, 13, something like that, and it's just impressive when you see guys like that have played for so long and are still playing at a high level. It's credit to their dedication and their discipline.
Joe, as a player, how much do you have to have tunnel vision throughout the week of just winning your game, getting 1-0, or do you want to know the surroundings around the league, or what you have to accomplish to get the seeding you want?
You pay attention to the games that are going on throughout the week. The Monday night game, the Thursday night game, the Saturday games. If you're playing on Sunday, if they're relevant to you, if it's an AFC team or if it's a division opponent. But you also have to balance that and understand you still got to get your job done to make it matter. So there is a balance there.
How do you balance that?
Well, that's our job to do that. You're going to pay attention, understand the layout of the league and where you stand. But when it's time to lock in meetings and film study and your pregame routine, that's part of our job.
Have you met Belichick?
Yeah, we met at a steakhouse in Miami when I was coming out right before my draft in 2020, right before COVID hit.
Any interaction? Did you talk for a few minutes?
I just went up and introduced myself. It was he and Coach Patricia at the time, and just went up and introduced myself. That's all.
With your dad's background as a defensive coordinator, did he ever talk about, Belichick, what he does great is makes the other team left-handed or anything like that?
No, we didn't. We would talk a little ball growing up, but what I loved about my dad was that, I don't know if it was because he was immersed in it all day at work, but he never fully crossed that line of dad and coach. He towed it very well, and I always appreciated that. He would give me his thoughts on games on Friday nights, but he would never be like, ripping me out or anything after I played poorly, which I always appreciated.
So you came into the league, was there like a fun box to check for you of, you enjoy the cerebral nature of the game of going against Bill Belichick? Was that one that like, man, can't wait to have that experience? Was that ever a thing for you?
Not really. Just didn't really think that way. I don't know. I think if you get too caught up in those moments and people that have played for a long time, I think you lose your competitive advantage.
Is there extra juice in a planning meeting though, when you're like, man, this is kind of this can be as tough of a test can get as far as laying out a plan, X's and O's and stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, we know they're very well coached. They're going to have a good plan. You see it every week on the film. They're going to have a plan for certain guys. They're going to have a third down plan that you probably haven't seen. They're going to have a red zone plan that you probably haven't seen, so you're going to have to make the adjustments.
You talked about earlier in the year about taking the checkdowns and kind of being better about being patient. What was the biggest key in learning how to do that and, making sure you knew that when the games came and getting those practice reps? What was that process like?
Well, it was just like anything. You learn from your mistakes, and you learn from reps and playing more ball and understanding, what defenses are trying to do to you. Every year is different. You're seeing different defenses every year, and teams are playing different ways. So the beginning of the year, you're getting a feel of, what's working on offense, what our defense is trying to do to you, and you're just learning from that week after week.
The fact that you grew up around a lot of coaches, does that make it easier for you to go up to a guy like, Belichick, who's rather an intimidating figure? He won a lot of games, and you went up and, introduced yourself. I mean, is that probably not something the average, drafting quarterback would do?
I don't know. I didn't really think about it. Figured he knew who I was and just went up and introduced myself. Nothing crazy.
I remember if you were asked this after the game Saturday or Sunday, but Tyler Boyd playing with that finger,
Yeah.
he got surgery, all that he's been through, just no egos in that wide receiver duo. Having a leader like that, how much does it really help you, and how do you see that impact other guys in that unit?
I just think it shows TB's, commitment to playing well, to the team, to winning. There's not a lot of guys that would do that, and I'm sure it was hurting. He didn't let anybody know it. That's just the kind of guy that he is. He's a guy that you love to have on your team.